All right. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our redeemer, and it is in his name, which is his authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect tonight's message. Aman. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for being on. I'm Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, but being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. We appreciate your presence today. And as you can see, at a place where there's a bunch of noise, but that's okay. Prayerfully, it won't be so long and so distracting to you. But basically, and I'm trying to set up a little bit of our setup still. It's not exactly the way I would like it to be, but nevertheless, we'll deal with what we have. Thank you for being on. We appreciate you. And prayerfully, we'll be able to, we'll prayerfully be able to have it to where this works out to our benefit. It works out for us. So hopefully you guys can hear and see me well. Looks like we're going to be all right. So we thank everybody for being on again. We appreciate you. Thank everybody who came on for our SOC regional meeting for the Carolinas, for Georgia, for Florida. We thank you all for being part of that, and we're appreciative. And so hopefully we'll be able to see the rest of you, or some of you later on for your the Central North region meeting. And we thank you guys for being on right now in this moment. I won't take too much time out because I got to make sure that I'm on time and make sure everybody has whatever text and stuff that we need to send out to go along with our emails that we've sent out. But we thank everybody. We appreciate you. And if I don't see you after this evening, I'll see you, hopefully hear from you on Thursday, Rise in Prayer. Definitely see you on Thursday for the live session as we continue our series of the Promise of the Rainbow. And we appreciate you. Thank you, everybody. Also, don't forget ministerial staff. We will be meeting this Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern New York time for our ministerial staff meeting. That also means, SOC, we will be having our SOC community meeting at 12:30 p.m. Eastern New York time on Saturday. We'll have our Shabbat school as normal. Everything is normal. This is also our first Friday of the month. Each first Friday of each month, according to the Gregorian calendar, at least every first Friday of each month, we try to make sure that we go out to the community and we are a blessing to everybody. So hopefully you guys will be able to join us for that. Praise Yahweh. All righty. Once again, we thank you, everybody, for being on tonight. Well, we'll go ahead and say our Bible pledge real quick. The Bible pledge is as follows. This is my Bible. This is my sword. And this will I trust, for Yahshua is Lord. No sword of God shall ever be heard, for this is my Bible, and this is Yah's word. Hashem Yahweh, Aman, in Yahweh's name, amen. Thank you, everybody. Tonight, we're going to talk about they hungry, right? And I'll try my best. I can't really see you guys because of my setup today, but I will try my best just to interact as best we can. How you doing, Minister Jenny? How you doing, Brother TJ? How you doing, Beck? How you doing, Sister Dawn? How you doing, Minister Stephen? Raj, Denise, Sister Shima, Sister Knight, Bruda, Darius, Lottie Dai, everybody, Shamwalabin, Yahawadach, Lifeline Apparel, Bold Servants, Shemuel bin Yehuda. Let's see. Anybody I miss on any platform, charges in my head, not to my heart. We appreciate you. How you doing? OG, double OG, triple OG, Brother Charles. How you doing? Carla, everybody, come on in. Sister Deborah. Oh, Sister Deborah. Okay, Sister Deborah, I might have to call you tomorrow if you can give me another day. I'm sorry. Maybe around noon, your time, and try and call you tomorrow. I apologize. Getting this house stuff done and everything's kind of messing with us a little bit. Please forgive me, Sister Deborah. I just realized, and you texted me and everything. I said I had something going on with the house. That's totally my bad. How you doing, Sister LaCrystal? How you doing, Big Brother Thomas? Ralphio, everybody. Once again, if I miss your name, charge it to my head, not to my heart. We appreciate you. So once again, tonight we're going to talk about they hungry. All right, real quick, they hungry. Now, when we deal with this, we can go to the book of Matthew chapter 5. I believe it will be Matthew chapter 5, probably verse 5, I believe, which is it'll be verse 5 or verse 6, but I believe it's Matthew chapter 5, verse 5, which says, they who hunger and thirst after righteousness, right, or blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled, right? And when we look at that scripture, we're seeing something very peculiar. We're seeing something that says, how you doing, Sister Sage? When we look at the scripture, we're seeing something that says, blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. In other words, persons are coming and they hungry, right? They thirsty too, but I'm gonna focus on this word hungry. They hangry, they hungry, right? This is one of them. They acting a fool and they done changed up who they are, and you got to give them Snickers, because they acting a fool, right? This person is coming looking for something. They're starving for something, and they're looking for something in particular. And there's a problem that's starting to go on because we have many persons that are hungry and thirsty for righteousness. How you doing, Sister Sherry? We have a lot of persons who are hungry and thirsty for righteousness. And Sister Sherry, I did send your information to the family that I was talking about. So if you haven't heard from them, let me know. Text me and let me know, and then I can send you their information. Maybe you can reach out to them, right? But those who are hungry and thirsty, I'm sorry for that noise. I'm trying my best here. Uh, but those who are hungry and thirsty after righteousness, those are the ones that shall be filled, right? And if we're talking about those who are hungry and thirsty, and we're talking about those who are hungry and thirsty for righteousness, a lot of persons need righteousness. They need right, lawful standing. They need order. They need discipline. They need structure. And yet, when they're not receiving this structure and they're not receiving this discipline, okay, thank you, Bruda. When they're not receiving proper instruction and proper discipline, proper righteousness, proper word, proper law, proper interpretation, what happens is that they remain hungry, but they swear they ate. How about this? They remain hungry, but they swear they're full. It's a very interesting dynamic that happens. For example, as much as I might go to Chipotle as a go-to just because I don't want to go to somewhere where I can't get vegetables, or I want to make sure I can get something that's decent without having, even though the vegetation is not all it's supposed to be, but it's decent in comparison to other places and stuff. And I don't have to necessarily get meat and I can still be full and things like that. If I eat Chipotle, right, I will be hungry in like an hour. And I'm talking about I'm stuffing myself. I'm talking about when I go to Chipotle, I don't get, this is my order Chipotle. I don't get rice because I don't trust the rice there, but I get beans, both beans. I get the black beans, I get the brown beans or the black eye, whatever they have, the black beans, the pinto beans. I get both of those. I get the fajita veggies and the extra fajita veggies. I usually don't get any meat. Then I go over to the I get whatever's over there. I don't even remember the order, but I get some of the spicy sauce. I get the tomato sauce. I get the tomatoes. I get double the guacamole. Maybe I have some corn, depending, because I know they be spraying this stuff with corn. I got to be careful how much corn I have, and then or spraying corn with that stuff. And then I get like a bunch of lettuce, right? And I'll be cool with it. I don't get the fajita. I don't get the I said fajita. The wrap. I don't get the wrap. I just get everything put in the bowl, right? And that's plenty. But once I finish eating, I'm gonna be hungry. No matter if I'm packed it in, if I've got 2 things of guac up in there, right? The tortilla. Thank you. I'm gonna be hungry because it's not their responsibility. Is not really to try and get me to be full. They're supposed to give me an experience, and they're supposed to give me something that makes me think that I'm full, and I'm full for the moment. But then when I leave, I got to pay more money to go somewhere. So it's kind of an exercise in futility for me. It seems great in the moment, right? Yeah, the burrito bowl. There you go. So it seems great in the moment, but it's not really doing much. You see, so it's nice and everything, but it's not filling, right? Um, and some persons are looking for stuff like that, where like the alcohol used to be back in the day that tastes great, less filling and stuff, whatever that was, Bud Light, Miller Light, something like that back in the day. Some persons are looking for something to where it tastes great, it's not filling me all the way. I don't want to be full. All right. As a matter of fact, we should learn how to eat and not necessarily be full, because being full means that we've actually overate. If you're right, like if you're full, what most of us mean by full is that we have no room to eat. We almost feel like we're going to throw up if we have another bite. That's actually gluttony, but we're taught that that's regular, right? But what's happened with righteousness is the same thing. Some of us, when we eat, forgive me, I know monster means that you can't own land and this and that. So hopefully you get the context that I'm using. But look, I'm 6'5.5". Call me 6'6" if you want to. I won't mind it. And when somebody invites me to eat, I'm coming to eat. And especially if you tell me you're going to serve something specific, that I'm looking for you to be able to fill me up, right? And so you can't half step with me when you talk. I'm talking about I'm the brother. I don't mind waiting. I don't mind being obedient. I don't mind being last in line. Matter of fact, the thing I learned is that if I'm the last person in line, how you doing, Brother Dwayne? How you doing, Donovan? If I'm one of the last persons in line, I've actually learned that I can get more. because I'm last. The first will be last, the last will be first. So everybody else, they got to get them little small servings. And they, especially at the church lines, they used to be like, you can get a thigh and a leg, or your thigh and a wing, or you can get whatever. It's like, no, I'm coming in to crush everything, right? I'm not coming like, don't play with me, So I don't mind being the last person, because when you serve that stuff up, I'm demolishing everything that you put on the plate, right? I'm hungry. Right. So don't play with me. In other words, when it's time to eat, I tell persons, if you eat with me, you might have to forgive Pastor Kofi, because I don't eat nicely. It's not going to be pretty. I'm not going to gross you out. But when it's time to eat, I'm rolling my sleeves up. Right. Some of y'all can keep your sleeves down, but I'm rolling my sleeves up because I'm fitting to dig in. And especially if we're around persons of our culture, my family, and I know you, and I know you enough to be like, I feel safe around you, and I can be myself, and I can show my culture fully. Oh, I'm reaching for stuff with my hands. Right. I come from a culture to where you eat peanut stew, and you go in the stew and you eat it with your hand, right? Where you take the fufu and you stick it in the bowl, right? And you go ahead and you make sure the fufu's in there, and grabbing the stuff and grabbing all the juices and everything, and you reach in the hot bowl and you pull it out. To some person that might be disgusting. For me, it's not time to play. You doing, Sister Nadine, right? It's not time for play. It's time to eat. Going back to your Tyler days, it's time to eat. Don't play with me, but it's time to eat, right? But watch this. We play with a lot of persons who come in, they 6'6" in the spirit. They're giants in the spirit. They're ready to really change the world. They're ready to do what they call to do, right? And in all this stuff, we should be feeding them righteousness, because that's what they're hungry for. That's what they're thirsty for. They don't care about being right. They're humble now. Life has humbled them. Situations have humbled them. They're not fixing to make a big deal about they got to be right about everything. There's some cats that want that, but they're coming in here hungering and thirsting after righteousness, and they can't get filled because we're playing with them. We telling them you can get a leg or a thigh. We're telling them you can get a little bit of the word, but you need to make sure you join this. You can get, maybe we'll tell you the truth about this, but we won't tell the truth about that. We'll make sure that you're tired, but we won't teach you how to live off of 10%. They're hungry for thirsting for righteousness, parched. And we're on the pulpit, drinking the water, drinking the spirit, so to speak, telling them how spiritually inclined we are, and telling them, hey, if you want to be righteous, if you want your thirst quenched, you got to go ahead and you got to dig deep into the spirit. Excuse me, y'all, let me go ahead and get my thirst quenched. Right? That's what we're doing. They're hungry and thirsty for righteousness, but they can't get filled. That is you know what? I'm going to say it because I don't even mean anything. I'm not even cursing at this. I'm telling you the truth. That is a hell of a thing to say to somebody. How you doing, Big Bad Wolf? And thank you for the love. There's a hell of a place for somebody to be, to where they're coming to sit at your feet. They're coming to your table to get fed, and they can't get no food. They're coming to be better spiritually, and they're still in the same place. They're coming to your edifice, your building, for 75 years, and then they listen to somebody preach different than you, and they say, I've never heard the word explained like that. What are we doing when our diaspora is hungry and thirsty and can't get served righteousness? Because anything else, it gives you the opportunity, like Chipotle, like I was talking about earlier. It makes you believe that you're full and content for a second, but content doesn't mean that I'm actually filled. Right? It's fulfilled. I need not just to be full. Don't make me talk about I'm full. Am I filled? See, my cells eat. So on a cellular level, you got to preach a word. You got to give me a word that preaches to my cells, not just to the sinews and the muscles and things. I need you to preach to the cellular structure. I need you to preach to the mitochondria, that it might be mighty. Right? I need you to preach to the electrons that go through, because when you feel a tingling in your heart and stuff, sometimes not a heart attack, it's just because you're an electrical being. I need you to talk to the brain and make sure that I need you to talk about health. All right. I need you to talk about wealth, and wealth is not just when you talk about rich, but wealth is when you know what to do with riches, and you have land, and you know what to do with the diaspora, and you have a wife, you have a husband, these things like that. You take care of your babies. We need righteousness. What happened to righteousness? And why is it that we forgot that persons are hungry and thirsty? If they're hungry and thirsty for it, it means that the problem is us. Recall when Yehoshua preached the Sermon on the Mount, his whole responsibility, Matthew chapter 4, Matthew chapter 5, 6, 7, and so on, is to ensure that he's actually telling persons how the law is supposed to go and what we're supposed to do. Because the end of Matthew chapter 7 tells us, at the end of the Sermon on the Mount, it tells us specifically that the persons who came and they were listening to him, the people, the children of Yehoshua, And even not just them, it was persons from Africa, it was persons who were Greek, it was all types of persons who followed him at the Sermon on the Mount. And it tells us that in Matthew chapter 4, verses 23 through 25. And when we finish and get into Matthew chapter 5, it tells us that that's where the Sermon on the Mount starts. And Matthew chapter 7, when you get there, it says that they had listened to him preach. And when he finished up, it said that they had never heard anybody preach with that type of authority. Not even the scribes and the Pharisees. They had never heard somebody preach with that type of authority. In other words, nobody had ever fed them to where they were fulfilled. How you doing, Dragon Slayer? Thanks for being part of the community. That's a hell of a place for your nation to be, to where persons don't preach with authority. Persons don't preach to fill you up. If the persons don't preach, in other words, they don't make sure that we don't make sure that the person serving you is authorized. Whether you work at a fast food restaurant or not, you actually have to go places and learn and go through certain classes and stuff to ensure that you can be certified to serve food. And if you go to a place where you don't have to go through those classes, guess what you have to do? You have to still go through certain classes and certain things or whatever and sit there with some OJT where they teach you how to make sure things are there. You can't just serve food. Like when you have hair like this, when I had hair like this and I was still working and stuff like that, or doing a 9 to 5 and I was working for some restaurants and stuff still, guess what? Hearing that. Right? Can't be ashamed of it or whatever. Hearing that. Why? Because they ain't focused on you ashamed. If you're going to work here, we can't have hair in the food like that. Even if there's hair that gets in the food, you have to at least make sure that it looks like you're doing everything in your power to prevent it. You said you got to do that certification every 2 years. Yeah. You can't just serve food just because. If you're going to be a sushi chef, they, for the first 1-2 years, is it? Maybe be 3 years, they're not allowed to actually cut fish. You said what? You got to get your certificate at the job plus ongoing training. There you go. Right? The sushi chef can't even, is not allowed for the first few years to even cut the fish. You would say, well, how are they going to learn? They learn by watching. They learn by doing some of the other stuff. They learn by doing some of the little things. And it helps to even help you to gain an appreciation. Right. I know a lot of you are just used to kind of the Americanized thing, but you go to some place where sushi is like life, is part of the culture, is part of the community. They don't play. It's like if you go to France really with any of their food, any kind of French food, but go to France and mess around with mess around with their beignets. See what happened to you. Because it's part of the culture. They hungry for that. That's part of the culture. When they eat the beignet is part of is part of their culture. There's a story with it. They were raised with somebody telling them this is how the beignet was made. This is our thing. You're not used to culture being something that's authorized, but everything you use is cultured. You go to Belgium, you get a waffle in Belgium. The Belgian waffle is serious, right? I went to Belgium, had a Belgian waffle. And it wasn't even the restaurant Belgian waffle. It was the airport Belgian waffle. Ever since I've been back in the States from that day, and that was back, when we traveled there in Belgium, that was 2019. From that day, I have never, ever ate another waffle. Because once you have the real thing, it's like you start really judging other stuff. And I'm not trying to say that you should never lower your standard, that you should be uppity. But what I'm saying is when you've had real stuff, you don't want to go back to the other stuff. There's no shade. Somebody going to have to really do something serious with the waffle, not just make it a waffle. I'm talking about the texture, the smell of it, the color of it, the fact that you shouldn't have to put syrup on it because the stuff that makes it sweet is cooked up with the waffle. There's certain things that like if I get ginger beer made from scratch, somebody bless me, right, to give us some ginger beer made from scratch, right? Last time I think I had some from scratch was last year at Feast of Tabernacles, from scratch, straight up, made from scratch, right? I can't go to the store and buy. I don't even know the company's names no more, but whatever those companies are, I can't go back to it. Even the fast food Jamaican patties. You go to Jamaica, you get a patty from Jamaica, like a really actual patty, and they put it on there. Even the fast food version, which ain't even the real thing, and you try to bring it and have somebody make you a patty here, you can't eat it. It takes you a while at least to try to eat it again. And you have to like actually say, okay, I'm willing to come down from the standard. There are persons who are hungering and thirsting for righteousness, and they haven't been filled. And now here's the thing, and this is what I love. And prayerfully, if we've done this at SOC, and I believe that we have, so I'm gonna talk heavy for a second. The reason why many persons can't go other places once you give them the word is because once it's the real deal, you can't lower the standard anymore. I would say that when you hear Minister Stephen preach the word, and when you hear Minister Shantae preach the word, and when you hear Apostle Dr. Tamar preach a word, and when you hear Minister Yassai preach a word, or when you hear Elder Alma preach a word, yes, even if you hear myself preach a word, or anybody who's on staff, when you hear us preach a word, and it's coming from the truth, and it's not about us, it's about the will of Yah, and it's got the right ingredients. What you say, babe? My wife is on the Alma's always check her out on TikTok, YouTube, or website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A-N-D, the letter N. Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. Yeah. So when when you have somebody do the real thing, she said ox and curry goat, right? You get some of that over there. Who gonna mess with it? Who gonna give you that over here? You got to find somebody from Jamaica. You got to. You can't find anybody else anywhere else to mess with that. Right. My grandmother used to take chicken or turkey. I don't know what it was, probably chicken, turkey, one of them. And she would take the whole thing. And I haven't seen anybody really do it since her. She would take the whole thing. And this is when I was a little child. I haven't had this since I was a child. Right. She would take the chicken and she didn't do the whole marinating. I mean, she did the basic thing and stuff like that, keep it juicy and everything. But you know what she put over it? She just put butter on it the whole time. She'd take sticks of butter and she would just melt it over the chicken. And she would cook it slow. I don't know what the temperature was. I was a child. I'm assuming it might have been at like 200, 300, something like that degrees. And cook it for hours, just making sure that she's putting butter in it. Basically marinating and soaking butter into the chicken. That's something that's from a culture. You can't do so. They don't do that everywhere. I haven't found that anywhere because not everybody serves that everywhere, because not everybody's trying to keep that up as a standard. Hey, Shalom, right? Like there's a standard that goes there. There are persons who hunger and thirst after righteousness, and once they taste and see what Yahweh has is righteous, they don't want anything else. So this is something that we have to make sure is that you better make sure, because they're hungering and thirsting, you better make sure that you're in tune with Holy Ghost. You know why? Because the Vach she is going to have to continue to make sure that she fulfills your orders. Acts chapter 2 says, once everything started getting on and popping, right? It says that after that, persons came into the assembly daily. They grew day by day. Every day, there were more of them that grew. There were more of them that came into the word. There were more that came into the knowledge of who the Most High was, right? There were more that were catching the Holy Ghost, that were catching Ravach HaKodash, right? Every day. That means that they had to be filled, because some others are coming for righteousness. So you better make sure that you know that you can get righteousness. They're hungering and thirsting for righteousness. You got to serve righteousness every meal. They're hungering and thirsting for the word. You got to preach word every meal. Yeah, come on. Once you get the original, you can't accept the limitations, right? There's a difference between rice and peas and rice and pea, right? You get one. Once you get one, you can't really, you know what I'm saying? You'll accept others, but you can't really go back. There's a difference between rice and peas that's Puerto Ricano and rice and peas that's gringo. Right? No shade. It works for gringo, but if I'm looking for the original, you can't mess around. You're going to need some Holy Spirit. Right? Holy Spirit, you're going to have to give you this, because others are coming trying to look for this over and over again, trying to give you over and over again. They're looking for righteousness and they're looking to be filled. And you're going to have to give them righteousness all the time, which means you have to have somebody that can give you righteousness. Right? And now watch this. If persons understood who you were, can I say something? We won't be on too much longer because we got to get ready for our last meeting tonight, and then I'm gonna take my leave, and I'll be off at least from here tomorrow. But if I can just flip this real quick for the preacher, or for those of you who give the word, or those of you who use your gift to give Yah's word. Here's something that I must also I have to defend you all, because here's another thing. There are some persons who show up, but they're not really hungry for what you're serving. I'm going to say it again. There's some persons that will show up. How you doing, Minister Tamara? And they will show up, but they're not really hungry and thirsty for what you serve. What do you mean? Well, the Yah that I serve up, and the Yah that I serve, this is his law, this is his commandments, this is his way. And so they might look down upon your plate, or they might not get filled off your plate because they're not searching for hunger, they're not hungry and thirsting for righteousness. You know, there's some things that no matter how much you want to give to somebody, if they're not hungry for it, there's certain things that are called like an acquired taste. And no matter how much somebody's hungry and thirsting for it, no matter how much somebody's hungry and thirsting for it, right? How you doing, Minister Shalom? Right? No matter how much you're hungry and thirsting for something, or I'm sorry, you're trying to serve something, if they're not hungry for it, they won't eat it. Right? It's kind of like the what's her name? The basketball star, the white girl, and everybody's mad at her, and everybody wants Angel Reese to be better than her, Caitlin something, whatever it is, right? Caitlin, whether you like it or not, like Angel Reese is as well, don't get it twisted. But Caitlin is basically, you got WNBA players that are mad with Caitlin. I think I even talked about this on Patreon before. You know, but you got all this stuff going on, and with Caitlin, and everybody's mad because everybody wants Caitlin. They're like, well, Caitlin's not even one of the best players in the NBA yet. And Caitlin, blah, blah. Yeah, it could be filet mignon. That's right. Right. Everybody, you got Caitlin, and everybody's like, Caitlin's not doing this, and we want Caitlin. This and that. Everybody saying, why do you want Caitlin? She's not even one of the best players in the WNBA. And they're not lying. They're not lying. She's not. She's not one of the best players in there. They're not lying. They're telling you the truth. They're not lying. But here's the deal. Even with her not being the best, if that's what everybody wants to pay to see, that's what you serve. And persons don't get that. Persons are like, well, we want this and we want that. Persons, you got to realize before she came in, persons ain't watching the WNBA. Before Angel Reese came in, persons ain't watching the WNBA. And so even though you got all this stuff you say you built up, y'all been in the red. Now here they come, and they got stars. Whether you like it or not, they got stars. They're their stars that are coming in. Or, I'm sorry, they got stars. Excuse me. They have fans. And so their fans are the ones that you got to look at and see. You said you didn't care about the WNBA at all? Yeah. So now you got WNBA players who are coming in, and everybody's actually paying attention to it and wants to see stuff and wants to actually see beef that they have and all this stuff. And look, it's not really my cup of tea. Anyway, not the WNBA, but just the whole, we only can watch basketball if persons are beefing or if they got enough follows and likes and stuff. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, right? And they're great at what they do. They're going to be some of the greatest to ever play, probably. But that being said, if everybody wants, no matter how much filet mignon you have, if everybody's asking for hot dogs, you know, you ever done something like that where you buy the best of the best, meat, flesh for everybody to eat, and you want your child to eat it, and this meat is expensive, boy. You know, this meat is expensive. You done bought all this stuff and laid everything out. You know, this stuff is expensive. And guess what? Your child is like, I just want hot dogs. I just want a hamburger. And you get mad. You get mad at the child. You don't appreciate blah, blah. Been there, done it. I raised my hand. You get mad at the child. I can't believe that you would want to eat that. Do you know how much I spent? Do you know how much your mama spent? Do you know how much your daddy spent to get blah, blah, whatever? And they hear you and they kind of feel bad about it, but they're like, okay, put some of the stuff that you got on the plate. They try to eat it. And then they're like, I don't want it. Right? I don't want it. Because as much as you're trying to give it to me, if it's not my taste, even if you're giving me the best cut, I might want that one day because I'll recognize my body, especially will recognize what that actually does for it and how healthy that is and how great it is to have the better cuts. But at the time, I don't want it. So you can try and offer to me. You can make me feel bad. You can whoop me. I'll go to bed crying and hungry because my taste is still a hot dog. My taste is still a burger. You could yell at me, you could fuss at me, you can cuss me out. But if my taste is still burger, then they're not going to do anything different, right? The persons are hungering and thirsting after righteousness, and they can't get filled. You're trying so big, right? But some of them aren't hungry for what you're trying to serve. So you can try and serve them, but there are others who are hungry and thirsty after righteousness, and we treat them like the little child. See, there's two sides to this. There's some of you, if you're not careful, who will hear this and let Holy Ghost lead you. But there's some of you, if you're not careful, what's going to happen is that you're going to keep sitting up there, and you're going to keep sitting up there, and you're going to keep trying to serve all this righteousness, and you're serving pearls to swine. You're dealing with somebody who doesn't even realize the taste of the necessity of it. Or maybe you're dealing with a babe. They can't even eat meat yet. They just need sincere milk. Maybe they just finally got off. You're going to have to wean them off of stuff. Maybe they're addicted to the McDonald's. They don't even recognize that there's real steak. Maybe they only know about steakums and they don't know about the filet mignon, right? But you got to find somebody where they are. You're trying to force feed concepts, or force feed thought process, or force feed ideologies to persons who are not ready, and who could care less, and who that doesn't mean anything. So if it doesn't mean anything to them, don't get mad at them. Love them where they are. When you're ready for this deep dish, right? When you're ready for this huge course, when you're ready for the Chicago deep dish, it actually got a lot more pizza to it, rather than getting the Papa John's mess, rather than getting the Domino's flat piece. If you actually want some actual Italiano pizza Italiano, like the real deal, the original, right? Then you're ready, then there's a plane ready. We can fly over to get it. But until then, it's pointless for me to fly over and then you see a real pizza and see what actually comes with it, and you be disgusted because there's a pool in the middle of it and you don't know that that's what it's supposed to look like. It's supposed to be some olive oil in the middle. And you don't recognize that we're supposed to eat all night. If you go to Italian, the restaurant's gonna be open all night and y'all gonna eat all night. We can have Prego. We can have on it. Was raised off it. I can't even cook that well. I don't even cook that often, but I can still take some spaghetti and stuff, and I can still put it in some water, and I can still put some chop some stuff up in the sauce. We can do what we do here, but if you want the real deal, yeah, there's a plane traveling to that. You got to go into the culture for that, right? And they're gonna eat all day because it took them all day to make it. You can still get full off it. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. What I'm saying is there's somebody that's hungry and thirsty for righteousness. And when you get righteousness, it's hard to go back to right. Just it matters who's right. If you can argue it better, if you got more persons to show up at your facility or at your church or at your edifice or as part of your family or whatever, how many followers you have. Like, once you get something that's true and pure and original, it's difficult. Right? It's difficult. It's difficult. There's certain things. My mother-in-law, my mama, she makes red velvet cake. She don't make it that often, but when she do, it's difficult. You can't mess with it. Once you have that, it's very few. I be inspecting. If I see the red velvet cupcakes every once in a while, I might see them at a store or something, and I get them. I'll be looking at them carefully. I'm trying not to smell them because I know that's nasty, but I'll be opening it up. I'll be looking at it. Because it's got to look close. You know what I'm saying? It's got to remind me. Somebody's got to remind me of it. If not, right? Sometimes I'll buy it. I don't even want it, but because it reminds me of the original, I'll be like, shoot, this is worth getting because I tasted and saw. Are you with me? Right? I tasted and saw. And so when you get the original, don't leave it alone. When you get the original, you can't leave it alone. And don't have persons make you feel bad. When you get healthy food and realize somebody can make you something healthy and it tastes better than the stuff that makes you addicted, why would you go back to the stuff that makes you addicted? There you go. My wife said, Bruda, you see, my wife, she said those egg rolls are the real deal, right? You get some egg rolls from Bruda, right? They're already pretty much ready to go. You take them out the package. You start putting them in the grease and stuff. You get that. I haven't really ate, Bruda, I'm going to tell you something. I haven't really ate egg rolls since, outside of yours. Every time if I talk to my son about egg rolls, he's like, oh, we getting the ones from from Uncle Charlie. Because, hey, once somebody give you a product that's on point, what you gonna go back to? So ever since I've had that, I haven't had an egg roll. And I like spring rolls and all that stuff. I don't get up anymore because I'm looking for something different. You see? So just realize when you hungry and thirsty after righteousness, right? I'm looking to be filled, and many of us have never tasted and seen Yah at his best and at his greatest in your calling, in your business, in your walk, in your faith, in your everyday life. What is it that you're feeding persons that is so righteous that when they taste it, they won't go back? That's what's going to happen with some of your businesses. Some of your businesses, when you go ahead and give persons what's righteous. See, you guys are just doing enough on the business or enough on the job. Give them righteousness in everything you do, and watch the promotion come, or watch y'all release you so that he can give you more, right? Or watch, now you got to start making decisions because you're bringing your, watch some of you, if you were to bring your righteous business, your righteous stuff, your righteous product with you, and you were to give it to person for free at your job. Some of you work at warehouses. You could bring 200 things and give it to persons as you're walking around the warehouse all day. Just give them a little sample, tell them put it in their pockets. And as you do that, all of a sudden you started a business. You put your QR code on there, you put a little something on there with your phone number, whatever the case might be. From that point on, you just made clients. Even if out of 200 persons at your warehouse, even if only 30 of them get your product, that's 30 customers you didn't have. And give them the greatest, right? Even I'd rather you give me the greatest small portion than give me some foolishness in a huge plate. Right? Give me everything with all the cum de la cum. Right? Give me the stuff that is the cum de la cum of everything that you'll ever see. Give me the best of what you got, the best of what you are, right? And give it to me in a small dose. If you can give it to me in a small dose, I will do everything in my power to allow you to do it in a greater dose. If you can take care of 5 talents, I'd love for you to keep 10. And if somebody else won't take care of their talent, I'd love for you to take care of theirs. Now you ended up with 11. You had 1,000 pounds of gold. Now you got a ton, 200 pounds. You have 2,200 pounds, 2,200 pounds of gold. You started off with 1,000 pounds, which is a lot, but 1,000 pounds compared to 2,200, that's a whole lot. Because if you're faithful over a few things, you'll become ruler over many. If I can see that you'll be in righteousness and you show me a smidgen of righteousness, I can't wait to see what you do when I let you keep all of it. Those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, they shall be filled. Are you hungry? Those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, they shall be filled. Are you thirsty? It says, blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness. It means even if you're not, haven't walked into the blessing yet, expect it. Because if you continue to be righteous, you shall be filled with what you're hungry and thirsty for. See, many persons are filled all the time with what they're thirsty for. A lot of persons are thirsty for sin. And so they get sin, and then they sit there and say, I don't understand how I got sin. It's like your algorithm. You be sitting up there on your algorithm talking about, I don't understand how I'm getting all these naked women and stuff on my algorithm, bro. The algorithm is set up to tell on you. Not, by the way, it's connected to your phone. You know this, right? So if on your phone, you go into all them dating clubs, even the dating sites where the girls are outright trying to hook up and you trying to hook up, and the phone, Google is buying the information to see where your location is at all the time, and you're sitting up there watching the stuff you're watching on your phone, and you're sitting up there typing stuff in the search engine and stuff like that, and no matter how much you clean it up, Google remembers. No matter how much you clean it up, Facebook remembers. Even if you haven't done it for years, Facebook will be like, oh yeah, you used to do that 10, 15 years ago. Let's see if this will work. Because they bought your information. They bought you. They've been studying you for decades now. That's how this works. They hear you saying you need to settle down. Next thing you know, your girlfriend, who on Facebook has said that publicly that you guys are in a relationship with each other, right? And you're engaged, or no, you're in a relationship with each other. So as soon as you start telling people and start speaking about settling down, isn't it interesting that now your girlfriend is starting to get all types of messages talking about wedding dresses and rings and stuff like that? And she might not even be thinking about it herself. But all of a sudden now she's thinking about it. Now she starts coming and looking at you. And guess what? When she starts looking at you and saying stuff and typing stuff in and talking to her friends and the phone picking it up, now all of a sudden you getting stuff about rings. Right? And they have this all booked because you have no vision. You haven't thought about this stuff. You're not doing stuff in righteousness. And now somebody can lead you. And before you know it, you're getting into stuff. And you're like, how in the world? Well, I guess this is Yah's will. This wasn't Yah's will. Google played you. Zales played you. Right? They came together. It's designed. The enemy works together. I don't care if all these persons are in different corporations. They all work for the enemy. Just about. So if I check your algorithm, it's not always, but if I check your algorithm, be honest with you, I'm usually going to find what you're interested in. Not always, but usually. They throw stuff out there in the children's face that be wild, right? I get that. They throw stuff out there in sisters' faces and brothers' faces. But for the most part, if I see that 95% of the material is twerking on your page, it's probably because you like to watch persons twerk. I mean, it doesn't take too much rocket science, right? If your face is full of persons cussing every video, it's probably because you like to listen to people curse. So we can tell what you're hungry for, what you're thirsty for. So are you hungry and thirsty for righteousness? For if so, there's something to be served up that shall fill. There's something that can be served up that is served up, the word of Yah, and it shall be filling. Aman. All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you. We got to get ready for this last regional meeting for this evening. So prayerfully, we'll see you guys. By the way, for the regional meetings, please, man, please, sir, as a reminder, feel free to make sure that we can see your faces from time to time. We can get used to talking. Maybe you want to come with some stuff to talk about, or even just, say hello to some persons, give some, idea of who you are. If you have ideas of stuff we can do, feel free to do so. But we want to make sure we get some information out to you. But also, we're using these as an opportunity to ensure that this is not just virtual, but it is reality. Okay. So we appreciate you. We honor you. We thank you. We are excited about what Yehovah is doing in your life, and we hope that the Most High continues to bless you and everything that you do. So I'm going to go ahead and take my leave. I'll see some of you. So if you're in the Central North region, we already did Carolinas, we already did Georgia, we already did Florida earlier this evening. So if you're in the Central North region, that includes Canada, all of Canada. So if you're in Canada, you should have got an email, by the way, for these, right? So we'll do SOC West on Thursday, by the way. So if you're in SOC West, everybody basically on the west side, the whole west side of the country, you'll be on Thursday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern New York time, or 6 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Pacific time. But for tonight, right after the live session at the top of the hour, or at 9 p.m. Eastern New York time, or at 8 p.m. Central, we will see you all who are in the Central North region. So that's Canada. That's Canada, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Missouri. I think I got everybody over there. So prayerfully, we'll hear from you guys tonight. We thank you all. Make sure you keep checking out. It's on all social media. You might have to scroll a little bit on our social media because we put out a lot of information. But if you just scroll a little bit, you should be able to see your region, what days and times you are, all that great stuff. And hopefully you'll be able to attend on the time. But tonight we'll see the Central North region. Thank you for everybody who was in the Carolinas, Georgia, and Florida for being on earlier tonight. Thank you everybody in the Northeast region who came on with us last night. And we look forward to talking to you guys at SOC West on Thursday. Tomorrow is my day off, so I will talk to, besides the ones that I needed to talk to today that I couldn't get a hold of, I will talk to the rest of you on Thursday, either listening in on Thursday Rising Prayer as Minister Anais leads us, or I'll talk to you guys on the Thursday live session. Once again, tonight is SOC, the Central North region. So if you're in the Central North region, look for your email or look for a text or something to come through as a reminder, and we'll talk with you all soon, okay? We appreciate you. We honor you. Much love and respect to everybody. Thank you so much for being on with us. And then we look forward to talking to you again. Thank you to the ministerial staff. Thank you to the moderators. Thank you to SOC secretary. Thank you to everybody. We appreciate you, my brothers, my sisters, everybody. As always, we give our honor and praise to the Most High. We give our praise and honor to him for my wife, the Honorable Alma, who lives a life that's able to be honored. As always, you can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish, not A&D, the letter N. Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. We thank you all. We appreciate you. You all take care. As always, this has been Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant to Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time by being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. Until I have the great privilege, opportunity, and responsibility of being in front of you all again, please remember, as always, that you are loved, you are necessary, you are majestic, you're fearfully and wonderfully made, and you which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shalom. And if for some reason you don't know which region or whatever you're part of, once again, check your email. We have your email, if you emailed and if you filled out the form, and if when you filled out the form you put your state at least, then you and your email address, you should have got an email saying, what night is yours. So you can always check every night, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. You can check each one of those nights to see if you get an email if you're not quite sure where you fit in. Okay. So, but you should have got an email if we have your information in our Excel sheet. Okay. So just letting you know, you should have got it. If not, and I know because there's some persons we don't necessarily have your information, but we still make sure that you get it anyways, then you should get it in a little bit. And some of you should get both a text and an email. If you don't get anything, you might want to reach out. You can always go to our link tree, which is on our main TikTok page in the bio, or where it says website, or it's in the description with the video right now. And you can always text us at the 202 number, or you can just simply go through the link tree and find out how to text us or whatever, and we'll make sure that information is there for you. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Love y'all. And we'll talk to you soon. Shalom, family. Peace.